So once again, my name is Levan, and I manage the sales and marketing in the company. So a little bit about the agenda today. We are going to be talking about the definition of onshore power supply, which basically means we will define what onshore power supply actually is, what shore power actually is. Then we'll go into the industry status and challenges. From our point of view, we are generally considered the experts of the industry, and we have been doing this for a couple of years already, so we have quite good understanding of what the status and current challenges is on the market. And last but not least, I'll give you a brief project-based company presentation of ShoreLink and try to showcase why this company is really a success story, not only in Estonia, but internationally as well. So, onshore power supply is also known as OPS. I will be also referring during this presentation to this concept as OPS. It is also known as AMP, Alternative Maritime Power, and I like both of these terms because both of them define and speak for themselves what this thing really is. What it really is, in brief, it's something that allows the ports, vessels to shut down their auxiliary engines while they are in their parking position in the port. And as you probably know, conventionally the vessels need to keep their auxiliary engines on, while even if they are in their parking positions, because, well, this can be explained in different ways, but quite simple example is the passenger vessel industry or cruise industry, because these vessels actually have people living on them. They have hotel loads, they have refrigerators, they have air conditioning, and this, of course, comes to some kind of an electricity required to keep up with these loads. And OPS is something that transfers the load of the vessel to the onshore power supply and quite simply put, connects it to the city grid. Simple representation structurally what this system is. So you have the city grid, which is necessarily the electricity network in the city. Then you have some kind of substation, we call it infrastructure in the port, which could be transformers, converter station if needed, control equipment, safety equipment, and so on and so forth. And last but not least, you have the so-called cable management system, we call it, which is actually what is used by the terminal operators, what is used by the vessel, and what actually ShoreLink specializes in. The idea behind this equipment, it is the final link between the vessel and the shore, and it is something that connects the cabling coming from the substation to the actual vessel. Now, for the sake of this presentation, I'm not going to talk about the vessel side, even though the vessel side infrastructure is pretty significant as well. But as our company specializes in the shore side equipment, we will stick to this and just focus on the shore side. Some fun numbers about the possibilities and capabilities of onshore power supply. Now, the emissions caused by the maritime transportation is, from what we know, it's the major part of the pollution on our planet, and OPS is one of the means that the European Union, and not only, people worldwide have considered to help with these emissions. And so some numbers, we can see that the major components of this pollution, which is usually carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and the nitrogen oxides, which are the very, very reactive and poisonous gases, the actual brown gas that comes out of the vessels. Shore power can actually decrease these emissions by 60, 70, and sometimes by 80%. And it not only has this been estimated, but this has also been demonstrated in some of the projects that have already been delivered and been operational for a couple of years as well. So generally, it is considered that OPS can reduce the entire emissions by the port by around 70–80%. And this is with the infrastructure that is already available today. And I will be speaking about this later on in this presentation. Industry status, a couple of words about the rules and regulations. Good thing about our industry is it's fully driven by the regulations, in our case and in the case of Europe by European Union. This is the Fit for 55 and so-called AFIR, which basically looks for alternative maritime fuels and alternative maritime propulsion and load means, and OPS is one of them. Usually this concepts have two milestones. The first one is 2025, which basically is meant for the major ports of the TEN-T core network in Europe, and this means that all of them will be required by 2025 to have the onshore power supply ready. They need to be ready to connect the vessel infrastructurally. And the second milestone, which is the ultimate goal, is 2030, which is the ultimate goal of these regulations as well. They want to decrease these emissions by around 55%, and therefore by 2030, most of the ports in the European Union will be required to have the infrastructure ready. Of course, there are some exceptions. The easiest one is a port can demonstrate that implementing onshore power supply is not feasible technically or commercially, and in that case, it will be excluded from these requirements. But generally, this is considered this is widely considered as a goal for the ports in this sense at the moment. Some numbers to demonstrate what the industry looks like at the moment. So there are around 330 ports in the TEN-T network in Europe, and only 65 out of these 330 ports have been reported to have some kind of shore power infrastructure. Now, this does not necessarily mean that they can connect to a vessel. This means that they have made at least some effort to get the grid ready, to get maybe some work done on the substation, but the entire system may not be operational at all still. So it's the number of ports that really have some kind of infrastructure, at least rudimentary, to connect to the vessel is even less than 65, which you can see from here what the potential of this industry is generally, and it is from our point of view, it's quite huge. And a good example of the situation on the market at the moment is what's going on with the cruise in terms of shore power. I will give you an example on the vessel side and on the shore side as well. It has been reported by Cruise Europe, CE, and also some of our partners who do the vessel side modifications, that over 40% of global fleet in cruise vessels have been equipped with shore power, which means they are fully ready to connect if the port is ready as well. Now, we have had information recently that this number is even above 50%, but whatever it is it 40 or it's 50, doesn't matter. Main thing is that the vessel side infrastructure is much forward and much more developed than the shore side industry. A good example on the shore side one is also the database of the CE based on the European cruise ports, which says that only 23 ports from only 10 European countries are being OPS ready or to be ready within the next 5 years. Now, I can tell you that most of the ports that fall into this category fall in there because they are going to be ready within the next 5 years, and the number of ports that are actually ready is much less. I would say maybe 12 or 15 ports at the moment are ready to connect, and our company has its fair share of this development as well, which I will cover later. Of course, there are some reasons to why this industry, shore side, is accelerating a bit slower than the vessel side one, and most of these reasons have to do with the commercial aspects. Maybe there's some problems with the fundings, some problems or misunderstandings with the local legislation, because this how the port can sell this electricity, because it is this system is a business case for the port as well. They may make an investment, they sell the electricity, and they want to get their money back, obviously. And this needs quite some investigation, because this happens in a different way in different regions. It's different in Port of Tallinn, it is different in Port of Trieste, and it's different in somewhere in Norway as well. But technically, which we can, let's say, we can vouch for these things, because we have to deal with this day to day, is the project designs or plans not being up to par, the technical uncertainty that the customers have, and the underestimating of critical components of the OPS system that ultimately lead to the failure of the projects or delay in these projects, which we have seen a lot of. Couple of words about each of these design projects not up to par. What we mean by this: the specifications, the technical ones especially, might be outdated. They might be based on something that was actual 10 years ago. It's not actual anymore. There are better solutions on the market. Outdated financial figures, which is the most painful one out of this, because you cannot base project in 2023 on financial figures that you have made before COVID, for example. It just will not make sense, it will not work, and unfortunately this is, we are experiencing this quite often. Next up, we have the technical uncertainty. This, even though there have been some shore power installations already, maybe around 15, 16 years ago, this market is still considered quite young, which means there is not much technical proficiency in the customer base itself. There is all the knowledge for the technology providers, but the ports, the design providers, the engineering companies don't have the entire understanding what's going on technically, which sometimes, quite often, results in poor technical specifications for the projects, and therefore the project again is either a complete failure or it's delayed, which is either case it's is not ideal. Okay, now we have come to actual ShoreLink, which we call it a success story, and it's a success story definitely not only in Estonia but internationally as well. ShoreLink was founded in 2019. Operationally, it started, let's say, ramping up, I would say, probably around from 2020. And quite simply, we describe ShoreLink as a technology company providing tailored shore power and shore charging solutions for ports, for vessels, and and this happens internationally. We have our headquarters in Tallinn, Estonia. The production facility is also near Tallinn, Estonia. A good thing is to mention is that the design, manufacturing, assembly, testing is everything done in-house, and there is nothing outsourced in the conceptual stage of the project. So the team is very talented, and they have come up with some quite impressive solutions, as I will present later during my presentation. So we have already delivered major projects in the major segments of shore power and shipping as well, and these are cruise, passenger segments, service vessels, bulk carriers, and some special vessels as well. And we have our representation in place in France, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Greece, and India. What I mean by representation, we have a representing company who we call it our, let's say, agent network, who helps us communicate with the local market because we cannot be present everywhere. The team, by the way, itself is it's around 30-35 people, so the team itself is quite compact, so we need to cover a lot of things, and this is the way that we have found to do it, and it has been working quite well so far. And let's go into the project-based details. The first project made by ShoreLink was actually in the port of Tallinn. This project, I can tell you that is up to this day, it's a benchmark project at least in Europe for RoRo and RoPax connection to the OPS. If you go to the port of Tallinn, if you have traveled by ferries to Helsinki or Stockholm, you have probably seen a very beautiful looking cranes standing on the quayside, and these are the ones. These are the exact locations in the port of Tallinn, which we have equipped with our cable management systems, and this is how it looks like in the port of Tallinn. So there is 6 connection points, and all those 6 connection points are used for different vessels, all traveling through the Baltic region, and not only. All of them are in the medium voltage range. Medium voltage is anything above 1,000 volts, and it's obviously regulated by the standard as well, which I will go into, but if interested, we can have a conversation about this as well. I also have included some honorable mentions delivered by our company. This is also one of the examples that we can, let's say, this equipment and this one is basically intended for the same types of vessels. What we mean to show by this is mechanically the systems are not standardized. Every vessel is different, every port is different. One vessel requires a telescopic, let's say, very sophisticated equipment like you see here. However, in some cases we can deliver something like this, and it has been working for many years just fine. And this, for your information, is for Port of Rotterdam for DFDS ferries, which is quite a major project as well. next milestone in the development of ShoreLink is the cruise projects, specifically in the cruise ports of Ålesund in Norway and cruise port in Aarhus, Denmark. It is worth mentioning that the one in Port of Aarhus was the first shore power project in Denmark and in the region as well, especially if we are talking about shore power projects for cruise. And in both of these occasions, not only we have provided the cable management systems as well, which I will present later, we have also provided the so-called shore connection cabinets, which is basically the extension of the substation cabling. And in these cases, the cruise being the biggest and the highest load requirement of all, and the vessels are also much bigger than the ordinary passenger ferries, the requirement on the system mechanically is much more sophisticated as well. So as you can see here, in this case, we are talking about mobile equipment, which can connect in various locations. It can connect to various vessels and so on and so forth. So it offers much bigger flexibility because cruise vessels and cruise terminals require much bigger flexibility. So this is what we have done for Port of Ålesund. This is it's quite beautiful scenery in Norway, and they are quite big on sustainability, and we are trying to help them a lot with this. So we have delivered two moving cable management systems for Port of Ålesund, and here you can see this shore connection cabinets, which are also manufactured by us, and Port of Aarhus, basically same type of equipment. And next up, the latest, one of the biggest developments that we have made is the development for the Port of Stockholm, which is a major port, it's a major reference, and we have also made our effort to, let's say, mark up and level up on our equipment as well. And here we have manufactured a cable management system for cruise as well, which necessarily has the same functions, same end functions, but it is much more sophisticated in the usage. It's self-propelled, it's battery powered, it has the telescopic boom, which is let's say this equipment is representation of the highest standards of what there is on the market at the moment. And two of these pieces have been delivered to the Port of Stockholm, as you can see, and here you can see the personnel of Port of Stockholm playing around with the machines. They are quite easy to use with a remote control, and it requires minimal personnel, which is the main requirement for these systems. Next up, and I think it's the last one, is our project in Abu Dhabi. This is to explain and represent that this onshore power supply is big not only in Europe, but it is becoming quite big internationally as well. If we take Abu Dhabi, for instance, they don't have any governmental requirements so far. So this project by ADNOC, which is Abu Dhabi's national oil and gas company, was done specifically on ADNOC's goodwill to have this installation in their port to reduce the emissions and to take to make some good presentations, some good pictures for their marketing, and so on and so forth. So they are planning to equip their entire fleet, and believe me, their fleet is quite huge. They have started with a quite big batch already, and ShoreLink has delivered quite a dozen of cable management systems, shore connection cabinets, vessel side connection cabinets, and so on. And we are hoping to stay in this development process as well. And we can mention here that this project was executed by our very compact but very talented team in very short lead times, I would say unparalleled on the market at the moment. And this is the equipment that was sent to Abu Dhabi, and this will also be presented on a grand opening in Abu Dhabi, hopefully soon, and ShoreLink will obviously be present there as well. Our plans for the future, we are developing, the industry is developing, as I have already mentioned. It is accelerated by the requirements from the European Union. There is less and less time left for the ports to deliver on these requirements, which means the market is only accelerating. We are not expecting any deceleration on the market, and we are definitely planning to secure our spot as one of the most demanding and reliable suppliers on this market. I'm sure we already are, but as the market is accelerating and increasing, obviously the challenges are bigger, and we are hoping to live up to these challenges as well. We always try to benchmark our high quality and standards, which is our main, let's say, value adding to this project. We obviously, in order to deliver on the first two milestones, we are planning on expanding the team, expanding the global representation, penetrating more and more countries and regions, and expanding the production facilities and capabilities to actually deliver on this project. Yeah. Penetrating new regions as well. As I said, we are seeing some of the markets coming up. We are seeing the United States, we are seeing countries in Asia, Korea, Abu Dhabi, and so on and so forth. And it's quite an interesting place to be, and we are planning to stay and keep up with it for sure. Last but not least, it is within our plans to enrich the portfolio with new segments and products. This does not necessarily mean staying in the cable management system segment of the shore power. We are definitely looking at other development ideas as well, which also will be or are already quite popular on the market, and we definitely are looking at this. However, at the moment we are concentrating specifically on what I have already presented to you. Thank you very much.